who is not necessarily as fatherly as a person. It's a weird story to open up on, but Mark, I know you know what I'm getting at. Want to tell everybody a little bit about our friend T.I.? And what T.I. is up to these days?
That is the correct response, Josh, to this story.
This is a weird one for this show, but hey, the people have asked for it, and we will deliver.
I only read the headline, and I don't know if I want to know the details, but please, Mark.
I'm just waiting for Josh McCouga to take in, to soak in the headline.
This is a real thing.
That is, rapper T.I. says he visits the gynecologist every year with his daughter to check her hymen.
He needs to make sure his daughter's hymen is still intact because he wants to make sure she's still a virgin. Side note, your hymen being intact does not actually... if it's not intact, it doesn't mean that you lost your virginity. Many women have their hymen break doing other things, riding a bike, a horse, gymnastics, whatever.
Thank you.
And this
I did
is
not know any of that.
This article is not from The Onion.
No, this is
true.
a real thing. He was in an interview.
No. This we got this from BuzzFeed News. I think the Washington Post is the article you sent me.
Yeah, this blew up like crazy because there was a lot of parents, and Cody, you are the only parent here, so I'll definitely be coming to you, even though you don't need to check anyone's hymen. But there was a lot of parents out there who came to T.I.'s defense and said, "Oh my God, same. I'm always going to the gynecologist with my daughter to make sure her hymen's still there."
No.
And there was more parents that were like, that's like not a great way to parent.
What?
And also, if you don't want your kids to be having sex before they're 18, by the way, his daughter is 18. Then you should talk with them, check in, see what's going on.
And I think at 18 now, she doesn't have to do this.
Mm-hmm.
But
that is so messed up and creepy
on many levels.
And she's 18. It's creepy at any age.
I don't feel good.
No, it's disgusting.
Farewell,
I'm
Josh
very
McCouga.
sick
Here's an article for you.
This is your send-off show, Josh.
Okay, so we've been having this conversation with my wife and me and friends and all about social media, and we have a friend whose daughter posted a couple very risque pictures on her Instagram, and she's in 8th grade. And
what's risque?
Like straight up naked or just
like
provocative?
Very provocative pictures. And I don't know if parents are having the conversation with them. We were talking like, what is the conversation? My best friend just had a baby. She's 3 months old and 4 months old, and they're like.
Is she putting up risque photos?
I know. He's
the 3 month old.
I'm getting the bigger diaper. She's too much skin, and so it's like, where do you go? How is this? Because we were talking about like slut shaming before the show started, and we were talking about that Sugar Ray song and whatever, and. You don't want to make them feel uncomfortable, like having sexuality is wrong.
No.
Right? Dude, that's the last thing you want.
No.
And my wife grew up in a very, very open family, and I grew up in a very conservative family where that was really never talked about. But that was also, in conservative Pittsburgh, in, a place where, like, you learned the sex education, but it was like a joke, and you mostly learned everything sexual from, like, the girls that live next door or your friends on the bus or your friends in school. Like, that's where you learned everything sexually.
Or what you watch on TV.
Correct.
Yes. Anything that's media, entertainment.
But nowadays, with social media and how everything is advancing so quickly, especially in a city like Los Angeles, where kids just grow up faster. Like, you grew up in a city, you grew up faster.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely.
I just think it's crazy because similar to Josh, I grew up in like Mexican Catholic society, like super anti-sex. Like, we were told constantly in Catholic school that our skirts were too long, and the nuns would make us make
too short.
Too
short.
The nuns are like, Darina,
these
your
were
skirt
cool
is too
nuns.
long.
They were really cool
Rip
nuns,
that
you guys.
shit up.
But we so constantly were like, close your legs, be a lady, and it is so dumb. It is the dumbest thing. I'm not saying people should be walking around with their genitals out, but what's the
weird society, cavemen.
Exactly. Do you guys remember the first time you like found out you could masturbate? That was not when you were 18.
No.
It's when you were much younger than that.
Totally.
Kids touch themselves. Kids play with themselves. Like, sexuality should not be a shameful thing.
No.
We all should be comfortable speaking about it in an educated informed way,
Yes.
right?
Yeah, I
Like, but
think-
there's nothing wrong with sex. Like, I don't understand why people. What's wrong with people?
Well,
I get why a parent wouldn't want their kids to have sex until they were ready.
Right.
I get that.
Yeah.
I think it's about talking to your kids
Communication.
and seeing when they're ready.
Yeah.
Because you want to make sure they're safe. You want to make sure that they have the resources they need so that they don't get STDs or unwanted pregnancies or any of those things, and that they're also picking the right person, especially if you're losing your virginity. So I think that if T.I. was concerned about his daughter losing her virginity, that's probably very normal. I think all parents are concerned about that.
Totally.
But to make sure that that she cannot lose it, and you're going to make sure she doesn't, because you're going to go with her to the gyno and check her hymen. What a strange relationship that is. And
I think it's disgusting.
And this is coming from a dude, well, let's be honest, has probably banged his way around the country. And is
I
probably.
thought it was just Pittsburgh.
and if this was a son, probably would not be going to check his
Correct.
No.
pee hole.
Well,
How
that's-
would you check if a guy?
Yes, you ask very pointed questions. That's how you check.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I just think. I mean, it is also sexist, right?
Yeah, it's
that's
totally
the thing. It's like
sexist.
you're controlling
Not only that, but-
women's ownership of their own sexuality.
extremely oppressive. Like it's oppressive what you're doing. You are like giving your daughter a mental incapability.
And shaming her
It's
for
shaming
for
Natural.
natural things
Yeah.
that we all feel. That we
And
how to
the
check a
idea-
guy's version.
But also to your point, the idea that your father does not trust you no matter what.
Right.
Like before this visit saying, Dad, no, it's cool. You're my dad. You said you didn't want this. I'm cool.
As long
no,
as I'm
you know
living
what?
under your roof, you've
Right.
told me I can't, so I didn't.
So I didn't. No, you know what? We're going to go to the gynecologist and make sure you're not lying.
Man,
that I think is also
This is
something.
something that's so weird to me because and Europeans must think we're crazy here because Mexico and the U.S. are the same. That I feel like this is such a prude country,
Yes.
and prudish country, because it's amazing to me that it's just boobs, like it's just nudity. Like you walk around Europe, you see billboards with naked.
What's just
women.
boobs?
I just mean like our bodies.
Oh.
Like there should be no shame. We all have bodies. Like we all. The only reason we put clothes on is because we don't really need to unless we're cold.
Cody,
right?
have you thought at all about? Yeah, I mean that's definitely true. But I'm curious from the father, in the studio. Have you thought at all about when you're going to have the birds and the bees talk? How you're going to have that? What that
Yes.
looks like?
You remember when we talked about chicken sandwiches? That was fun. Let's go back to that.
You don't.
Oh,
Is it because you don't
God.
want to think about it, Cody?
Yeah.
I bet it's hard, Cody, to think about it right now.
Yeah. He's
Because
just so,
right now
he's so
I think-
small, so tiny.
Yeah, aren't you just worried about he shit his pants?
Yeah.
Right?
That's the main concern right
There
now.
it is.
And also just making
Spiders.
sure he's still breathing, right?
Yeah.
Because with
That
babies,
too.
you're like, holy shit.
That too.
Yeah.
I'd be terrified.
Yes.
I will be terrified.
I've never been a parent, but I will just say that
That you know of.
No, I would know. I
That's more of a guy thing. Thanks.
think I'd know.
Can I, that
Although
was
that-
one of my favorite looks that Roxy has ever given. She's like, no, I think I've been.
Yeah. If I had to guess, I'd
Well, I
probably
love-
know.
it's like that show
I
where-
do get lost sometimes for a very long amount of time, but usually if something comes out of my vagina, I'm aware of it.
How did I
Most
get
of the time.
pregnant? Weird.
I did have a condom stuck in there for a very long time once, but it's a different story for a different time. But I know that my
So Josh McCouga is
my
my
parents spoke to me at a very young age about sex.
Yeah.
And
You also grew up in a very
hippy dippy.
Yeah. I
and
wouldn't say hippy dippy, but a very like left-leaning liberal household that
Yes.
grew up very sexually awakened.
well, they wanted us to know what it was, but I remember both me and my younger sister, we had the same problem because we went to school and we taught the other kids, and that's not cool. It was, I liked that my parents trusted me when I was young with this information,
Yeah.
but I shouldn't go share that with other kids
Right.
whose parents have not yet told them about that.
Right.
So I think you kind of have to know your kid and know when to talk to them.
But there's a balance. But I just feel like there's nothing wrong with talking about it.
No, of course.
Right. That's what it comes down to, is that people don't even want to talk about it. People are teaching. Some schools are still teaching abstinence, right? And which is crazy because kids are going to have sex no matter
you
what.
remember-
So you should teach them sex education.
Yeah.
that's how you. Everybody that's like fighting abortion. That's how you decrease abortion. Teach sex education.
Remember in Catholic school? So I didn't go to Catholic school per se, but I went to CCD, which was basically the same thing. It was just like outside, but it was like religion. So it was in the Catholic church. So every Wednesday you'd have to go to CCD. It was 2 hours long, and it was like learning about religion, and that was like so you get your first Holy Communion and your confirmation, all that stuff. And remember
You are so not Jewish.
No. And the nuns came in and were just like, so do you guys want to know what's a sin within like sex? And we're like, well, you're telling us. I mean, this is the class. Everything is a sin in the Catholic Church, which is so bonkers. So that's what gives you the mental like thwarting, right? That like everything I do is a sin. Like if I jerk off, it's a sin. If I have sex, it's a sin.
God's watching you while you're jerking off.
Yes.
He's a creepy bastard.
You could go blind.
And then the fact that a nun who's supposedly a virgin is telling me this also in the Catholic Church. For if you want to get married in the Catholic Church, a priest who isn't married gives you religion classes on marriage.
Yeah. It makes no sense. And that's why Josh and I grew up so guilty about everything all the time.
I was not guilty at all. I did all the things I wanted to do.